Video, no sound.
Thank you for joining us on New Hope Online. This is Unscripted, our weekly conversation and discussion piece that we like to do at 12:30. And of course, we're running a little behind today because of some technical issues. Please forgive us, but we have them all worked out. I hope, fingers crossed. And as always, you can catch replays of this throughout the week on various platforms. If you are watching us right now, please like and share this with some friends. Get the word out that we're doing this every week. And every week Unscripted, if this is your first time joining us, we get to talk with somebody who's doing some really good things, whether it's in our church or in our community. And today is no different. We have Michelle Ashcraft on from our New Hope Early Learning Preschool. And it's great to see you. Thank you for joining us today, Michelle.
Thank you for inviting me to do this.
Now, what is your history with New Hope Early Learning? Because I've known you for some time, but I first met you when you were actually the teacher of my youngest son. And now you are like the director of the entire preschool. So tell us a little bit about the history of you.
Well, I was here a few years ago to teach 3-year-olds. Actually, that's where I'm. And I only stayed for about a year. I left. So I think about last year, former director had left. So I kind of looked. So I have a director's credential, and I've done work with early childhood, high school, which feels like many years ago now. So I kind of thought about that to come back into childcare. I was off for a few years with my twins and my other. Something that I prayed about and really felt like this is where kind of this job, and just kind of in my head I was like, well, we'll just see what happens. Worst case scenario, get that job, which, I just wanted it to be the right move. So I prayed about it and felt led to do it, and at New Hope. So as the director, which is crazy to think. Yeah. But I mean, something that I felt passionate about, just working in early childhood in general, is just with this kind of job, you're not in it for the money for sure. You're just in these kids or these age kids and the families as well, which these just amazing families at New Hope and the amazing teachers at the school as well.
Well, you're doing a wonderful job. I think there's been some great things happening in New Hope Early Learning. When you took that time off, that had to been kind of, was it painful for you to take that time off because you're so passionate about being involved?
Yeah, it was, because working with preschool age kids is really something you have to, I feel like, because this is a very hard age. Sometimes, you have to be patient. Lots and lots of sometimes. So it was hard to be home and not be around. I had to know when you have something that is kind of your call and job, it kind of feels like you're from, and I went to school for this, to work early childhood in general, so I know that thing from everything. But I wanted to make sure coming back to work was something that was the right move for my family.
Right. And you brought up something too, because you said it takes a lot of patience to work with early childhood learning. And I know for myself, it takes a lot of patience just to be a father to my own children. But to actually have the patience to work with somebody else's children, that's a different dynamic altogether, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is, because I have currently now, and some people are like, I don't know how you do it, because they're in classes with other two. How you take two-year-olds home and do it after you've been. I'm like, well, you just do it. And like I said, it's one of those things that you really just feel. Like I probably couldn't teach elementary kindergarten, because it's just, I don't feel like that's my area of expertise at all.
Right.
So, and there's other people who have told your job as teaching preschool age kids, because it's really special ed, and I tell her all the time, I couldn't do your job. So, you just have to feel it to do it.
And that's why you have such a great staff too. And like you said, you have some great teachers, and they're all expertise in their respective levels. And there's a reason why they're there.
Right, exactly. Because you really have, you really have to. You really have to just feel that's something you can do right away when you're in there and you're like, nope, couldn't do it.
So you all have been doing a lot of things this year. One of the things you just did this past weekend was you had a yard sale. How did that go?
A yard, it was on and off busy. We saw a lot of church members support for the school, and we received a lot of donations, which we couldn't have done it without all of that.
That's great.
And then we were able to donate I believe it was Lighthouse Ministries, just to, musically. So it was good. For the first one that I this year, to kind of just, help the school out a little bit, because it's been it actually went smoother than I thought, to be honest. And sorry about that, from the church, and just, even if they didn't purchase anything, just to show the love in the church in general.
Yeah. You also had a trichathon already. That was a couple months ago, wasn't it?
In February, about a month ago.
So, and you do things like that throughout the year to create enthusiasm and to, of course, have an opportunity for people to contribute some funding for that as well. So you do an amazing amount of things with the school. Is there anything else left for the year, or are you going to just start looking towards next year for that kind of event?
I think right now we had to kind of throw everything, because I think once after kind of sort of hit, a lot of people comfortable coming in and around people.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of, because the parents unfortunately hadn't been able to do a whole preschool, or where their kids, we were sending them pictures, of course, when things were going, but it's never enough. There's some that have had kids. This is their first time in preschool, and the parents haven't had a chance to come. We were able to do that. We did the trichathon, which was great and amazing, and support, which we totally appreciate. The parents were happy and talked, because we had all the classes set up at different times. So with the parents, which has been very seldom. In the car line usually, we want to get to know the families, because technically they're out of the year. So it was really nice. Again, the support, and we really couldn't do some of these things without that back. Where would we be without it? So
absolutely,
it's just been great, and things within the last couple of months to try to just get more involvement. So but we're going to slow down until next year, I think, and start just.
Now, you mentioned something that was a challenge for you this year, which was getting to know the families, because that's something that you and your early learning school does a great job in doing, is trying to connect with the families that come in. But that's been a challenge, like you said, in this past year. What other challenges have you experienced because of the season that we're in this last year?
We've had low enrollment. Of course, probably about 7 or 8 kids less than. A lot of people chose to do VPK, a virtual, a kind of online school. It's kind of one of those things that I'm not sure about, because I feel like this age group, you need the the in-person, they interact with the teacher, they need to see a teacher. Like, I know I couldn't get my screen and learn that way. It's just not, even for my middle schooler, it was, so our enrollment was low when we started. It's picked up a little here in registration for next school year. We've had a lot of registration, about 4 tours just within the past 2 days.
Right.
So pick up for next year. So things are slowing down, getting comfortable. Had a lot of support from the church, so things have been, it's been crazy on and off, and we just tried to look at it as like, okay, we'll move forward, deal with it, move forward. I had to learn a lot of graces to break down because I know it's not me, it's this COVID stuff. Thankfully, it seems like there's light at the end of this, just a whirlwind of a year for us. Finally.
When you, in the past year, have experienced these students who basically were quarantined for a little bit and then, trickled back into the school, coming back into brick and mortar in person, did you face any challenges with these students that were at home? And what they were doing or what they were trying to do to learn? Was there like was there a drastic look to that student, or did you have to reprogram them or something?
I feel like that happens with any time. When we have the 2 weeks at Christmas, I always prepare the 2-year-old teacher. I'm like back from adjusting from their schedule at home to adjusting to adhering to a routine. So I feel like that's any age. Our age just adapt a lot easier. It's like nothing for them has changed. I got to do this. Like, that's not. Of course, there's going to be those few that adjusting. So it's like sometimes they're emotional when they come in. We've had a good group of kids and a great group of parents who we know they're still working. School went on quarantine last year, from spring break. The teachers were amazing, and they got all this need, and they were able to provide them with learning packets and things in person. And I know a lot of them emailed and communicated until at the beginning of the school year. It was kind of just like, okay, we're starting clean, we're starting fresh, routine, the new routine. And like I said, anytime we have a break, like the 2-year-olds, you have to kind of readjust them. Their adjustment too. Now, recently with spring break and then the time change, like now with Easter coming, they've been a little crazy this week. But anytime, it's just the teachers do an amazing job as redirecting and their routine. So, a lot of the kids here adjust really well and really easily. Crazy, but it's to be expected. It's the age.
Now, in your own opinion, one of the things that you all do is you prepare the kids to go off into elementary school, right? And I feel like we have been going through such ups and downs and quarantine, not quarantine, in person, not in person. In your opinion, is this going to affect them going further with educators? Is this going to, will we see a difference, I guess, in the skills and then the learning process?
For this school with the teachers that I work with, I don't feel like anyone coming from here, I can't say or kindergarten or anything like that, so I feel like anybody coming to be prepared for next year as far as following a routine, learning what at the end of the day, the goal is to just get them where they need to be. Have just taken with whatever they've gotten done, did what they had to do, did what they needed to do, and there wasn't anything to where they haven't been exposed to it or anything like that. We still followed, we still implemented what we needed to. I don't feel mainly struggle, there might be but we've prepared them the best that we can, and that's just been the goal. The kids just do what we need to do for the kids. It doesn't matter. I mean, we want to keep it as normal in here, because out there we wanted to make sure that we stayed on track at least.
And I believe that connection is first and foremost, and you all do a wonderful job at connecting with the students and the families. So that's why you all are such a success. And I think that that really says a lot about where they're going to be next year or the following year after all this is said and done. You guys do such a great job. Let me ask you something.
Thank you.
I'm going to put our church on the hot seat right now. How can we engage more as a church with the preschool?
This is kind of talk to my staff about, because different perspectives. I mean, everybody has their own opinions, different opinions. We need variety. I mean, nobody's in that. I kind of some things that were meant. They would like volunteering, like within the preschool crazy. So, they would like to see maybe throughout the church. I mean, there's plenty of things to do. Not so much this year because so we understand all that. It's just been chaos. So this year hasn't happened the way it was. We'll just move forward. So that was one thing that was mentioned about, I do chapel on Wednesdays, but, it would be kind of nice to have, like, read a story. I mean, this age is so to adapt a story kind of to their level. I mean, and they just want to interact. Sometimes you think, well, that didn't really do anything. That's how I kind of felt when I started doing it. But then as it progressed, the kids would talk to me about, told my mom this, or I would have a parent mention something so it kind of makes you like, oh yeah, so they are listening,
Right.
People don't realize that they're little, but they're very, impacts them. They're little sponges is what we say here, because they pick up everything. They're looking at you or not, they're still picking it up. They're still hearing you. Been one thing. So the other has been happening, which has been great, is prayer. Email me or message me or seen me somewhere around the church and have said, hey, for you, which has been nice because we like rough. So the prayers are definitely appreciated. We've had some people donate to the school just different things, which, is great. We could always use things like that. And if we can't, we'll find, just interacting with the staff in general.
Right.
Some people, I've talked to some parents about, what church you go to or why, and I think sometimes my biggest kind of get, like, they kind of feel like church can be, that's kind of what I've gotten, is like church can be, like, I don't feel like I fit in, or I feel like it's not, it used to be, and I've had to tell them, well, there's 2 services here. I know there's a family service. I said, that's more of my style. And then there's also like, that's other people's styles. Like, that's my husband's. There's different ways to try it. And I always tell them, just try it out. You might like it. I do understand how they feel, though, because, you see things, and everything now is so up in the air about different things. Don't know which way to go. So,
And you bring up a good point, too, because I think a lot of families, when they are in the market to put their child in a preschool, you have families that just want a preschool, and then they accidentally run into a Christ-centered preschool. And sometimes we kind of miss the boat maybe of being more invitational to those people. or maybe we just don't show enough of our presence to those people in some sort of way to get them to kind of come along and say, it's not just a preschool. There's more to it than just preschool, So maybe.
Yeah, there is. That's the thing is, like, I know with all the tours that I've had this week, that's something that people come and they're like, this is just a preschool, right? And I'm like, well, we're part of the church. We're attached to the church. So there is going to be things that are done that are within the church that we do talk about God, and most of them, to be honest, are not surprised. And does that mean they're going to have to go into the church? And I'm like, well, I don't know what's going on. So it's just really just different than what they used to be. And some people are just afraid. And I think just more, I guess for lack of a better word, like modernize. And I think that's just the way to go, I should say, from the families is sometimes they feel pushed into things and you might like it, try it online, see how the service feels, doesn't, and if not, then, just look for something you feel.
Michelle, we have got a link up for donations that can be made to New Hope Early Learning right on our platform right now. If anybody has any questions about how they can reach out to you or some of the teachers on your staff, can they just get a hold of you by email?
Yeah, I have two emails you can reach me at. Either the preschool email, which is preschool@brandonchurch.com, or preschool@findnewhope. Or my email directly to me, which I see at Michelle@findnewhope.com.
Well, I want to say that it's been a pleasure speaking with you. I want to thank you for taking the time to do this today. It was very enlightening to me because I think of all the people on staff, you have a very critical role, and you're doing an amazing job over there. And I don't know how you do it personally, but you do it, and you do it well. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
And again, get in contact with Michelle, get in contact with New Hope Early Learning. They are always in need of people. Just reach out and be friendly to the teachers, to the staff. Let them know that you're here. And I think, wow, I mean, you guys are doing so much to have opportunities to get involved somehow, some way. You even could just go out and say hello to people in Carline, couldn't you?
The families love that. And then, like I said, unfortunately this year we haven't been able to interact with. We're hoping for next year our school will be much bigger, so there'll be much more to do around here, even just making copies or just kids. The kids would love it. We have a library you could sit in there. I mean, there's all kinds.
It's right there, folks. So get in touch with Michelle. Get in touch with the people at New Hope Early Learning. Thank you again, Michelle. And thank you to everybody for joining us this week on Unscripted. We will see you next Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe. Be of God.